this afternoon at an hour ago, I received an email that says, "Hi, Elliot. Sorry not to have been in touch. We've had a good summer. Bookings have gone well. I built the website for this client. However, currently our website seems to be down. Can you help? Look forward to hearing from you." And so it's quite unusual for a website to be down. It is. Normally they have sort of 95, even 99% uptime if you're on a good server. So I immediately think you've forgotten to renew your domain name. It might be the server, but my instinct is you forgot to renew your domain name, and you would be surprised how often I see that. So I go on to Nominet, I go on to Whois, every domain name provider, and Nominet is the UK industry controller of domain names. So when you buy a domain name, it's still administered by Nominet. You can go on something called /Whois on their website, nominet.org.uk, and see what date domain names are renewed and expire and where they are held, as which host looks after them. You used to be able to see who owned them, but I noticed about 3 months ago, GDPR, the data protection regs, have put paid to that one. And so I used to be able to see whoever owned a domain name. That's quite useful if you wanted to buy one or you're interested who owned the one you wanted. But you can't do that now. They hide that for GDPR reasons. I don't remember reading that, or I just noticed one day, rang up my host, our server, said, "What's going on here, guys?" And they said, GDPR, can't find out who owns domain names anymore. Anyway, so I go and check on their host, which was 123-reg.co.uk, not us. Yeah, the domain name is held with the registrar. In this case, that's 123-reg, who then tell Nominet who owns it. The hosting is held with us on our server, the website where we built it, and that's how it works. So if one of those links in the chain goes wrong, if the domain name registrar goes down, website won't work. If the website goes down but the domain name's still working, it still won't work. It'll look the same. So I understand why they sent me an email, but actually this is not my issue. This is an issue with your domain registrar. Mainly an issue with the fact you forgot to pay them. I see that a lot. I met a company, 6 years ago, who was very proud of the domain name they held, which was a .com name in the marketing cosmetics industry, and had been offered £3,000 just for that name already. I used to talk about it whenever I met them, like we're going to do this project in the future with this domain name, and very good. And then one day I went round and it was all a bit sad, really, because they'd forgotten to renew it. They had the renewal email will come out to you. If you use something like Hotmail or something you don't use very often, you can forget or miss the renewal. Harder to do now because they do auto renewals if you want to do them, and had lost it. So the person who'd offered them £3,000 a month or so before had just been monitoring, you can do that, monitoring when their expiration dates would happen, hoping that they would forget. They forgot. You then get a second chance. It's not as bad as that. If you forget your domain name renewal, you go into what I'll call purgatory. You go into a period of, it's not too late. I think it's 45 days, might be 90 days. Anyway, there is a period where even though your domain name has expired, no one else can buy it, and you can still retrieve it. So if you've missed the date, there is a period, a cooling off period, where you can come back in and say, no, actually, that's a mistake. I want to rebuy that name, cost you more money. If you miss the expiry date, it'll cost you more money to pull it out of purgatory. But it's not a deadline, if you see what I mean. You've got another month or so, or even 3 months to put things right. That didn't happen with this company because they didn't know. So the email that came out and said your domain name's expired, they didn't get that one. So the one that came after that, you see the problem it is, the one that came after that said, now you're in purgatory, hurry up, we're going to delete this name, which means they put it back on the market. They didn't get that either. And then when they get the email that says, I'm going to delete the whole thing tomorrow and put it on the market, well, they didn't get that either. So when you think how important your domain name is, that's in the online sense, your entire company. You build up your SEO ranking about the domain name, you put out your emails, put it on your business cards. It's everything. That really shouldn't happen. And so I replied to her, which I won't read out word for word, saying, I've checked for you. You've let your name expire. Get on there and renew it. Now, that's not hard to do. but it is hard if you don't know it's happened. So that's why I bring up domain names. Really, it should be simple. You should never let your domain name expire. You can buy your domain name for, I think, 10 years in advance, certainly 7. If it's really that important, you would, wouldn't you? You wouldn't have this renewal date where you could lose your entire online business. You would go, well, okay, I'm in it for the long run. I'm here for 5, 7 years. I will renew it for a long period so it won't expire. Not yearly. Yearly is an annual chance not to renew your domain name and let someone else take it or steal it. And when I say steal it, I mean when it becomes back on the market. It's not really stealing, is it? It's more your error to not have renewed it. But I've seen it happen quite a few times. It will happen. I will get an email in the working year, 4 or 5 times just from people I know who say the website stopped working, and it's always because they forgot to renew their domain name. Don't do that. Yeah. And so domain names are a industry by themselves. Go to Whois, check everything's fine, find your renewal date, put it in your diary. Don't forget, make sure the email held on the domain name registrar who alerts you about these things goes to an email address you use a lot, and don't lose your online business. That's all I'm going to say today, because I've done quite a few things today around marketing and websites and Google AdWords and things, but probably the most interesting email is my poor customer who just emailed me to say their site's been offline for 2 weeks, thinking it was a hosting issue, a server issue, when actually I've had to go back to her and say, you forgot to renew your domain name. I'm sorry. Hurry up and pull it out of purgatory before you lose your business online trademark, really. Not legally, but in terms of trademarking and trade names. Yeah, and that's what's happened today, is I've had to go back to someone and say, your entire online business is at risk because you've let your domain name expire. But luckily for you, you're still in purgatory. Get logged in, pull it out of purgatory, pay the extra. If you don't want this to happen again, renew your name for 7 years. All right, that's it.